What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my Red Sea Reefer 250 adventure. You can see here I have a bag floating in the sump, but before I get to that, I want to just go ahead and throw out a couple of shout outs just because. Check out Dave's Nano Tanks, because why not? He's a big contributor to the community, so go over and show him some support. Also, daily reefing. He's got like a 500-gallon system with like another 500 gallons of sump volume, and he just had a kid. So go over, congratulate him, tell him he needs to have 10 or 11 more kids. Come back to this video, finish it up with me. Now with that out of the way, I went to PetSmart and I picked up 6 mollies. For those that don't know, mollies are a brackish fish, so they can live in freshwater and saltwater, to my understanding. I've been battling the zero nitrate issue for a while now, and decided to give some mollies a try. So went to PetSmart, had them on sale, got 6 of them, let them temperature acclimate, and then just throw them into the sump. I don't quarantine fish, I just throw them in the tank. I understand there's pros and cons to both. A quarantine system does not guarantee you no parasites. It increases your odds of no parasites, but it does not guarantee that. So with that out of the way, I let them acclimate, and I just dumped them in. I did some research, and it seems like it was, some people drip acclimated them for a couple hours, some for 24 hours. And the consensus that I got was a lot of people had pretty good success by just dumping them in the salt water instead of acclimating them slowly. So that's the approach that I took, because it just seemed the best option for me. Now, I didn't intend on any of these fish going into the display. I wanted to simply put them in the sump, use them as part of my bio load, but out of the display. They all survived in the sump in the beginning, but I got a power head in the sump, then I got my skimmer also in that chamber. And my sump's not big to begin with, so, these mollies were perfect for the sump. And then disaster struck. This is the inlet of my skimmer. So the same night that I put the mollies in the sump, I was checking on them, opening the cabinet doors every once in a while, and I noticed that my skimmer was not skimming. And I knew exactly what had happened. I had failed to realize that these fish are poor swimmers. And, you put a skimmer that's sucking water and a power head that's pushing water, and it creates pretty much an immediate disaster. So basically, 2 of the mollies got sucked into the skimmer inlet. To sum it up, 2 fish with a value of $4 almost completely killed my Nyos 120. I'm not saying that to be heartless. I really do hate it for the fish. It was just simply an experiment that's gone wrong. So did not intend for that to happen, as a disclaimer. So I took this opportunity to pull the skimmer out of the system, put it in some water and vinegar, let it run for 24 hours, dump that water out, let it run in water and vinegar another 24 hours after I took the skimmer apart, and then rinsed it off, and now I'm running the skimmer in the Tunze citric acid, just because, it's already out of the system, and just might as well go ahead and spend some time and get it good and clean. So right now I'm relying on the Santa Monica Rain 2 to filter my system. So the skimmer has been off of my tank for about 3 or 4 days now. Interesting tidbit here. I did not, like I said at the beginning of the video, intend on any of these mollies going into the display tank. But what do you see here? You see Dalmatian molly in the display tank. The only way that fish got into the display was taking a ride through the return pump. So, unfortunately, this was the only known survivor at the time. So, experiment gone completely wrong. I do want to say that since I had to pretty much tear my sump apart to get some of the fish out and whatnot, I did find one of the clowns. Unfortunately, I did order a clown from Live Aquaria and the Goby. They have both perished. The tang and the firefish to my knowledge, are still alive. I know the tang is. I haven't seen the firefish in a couple days, but I did find my clown in my sump, so he must have taken a ride down the drain. So we got the molly on the display, and you know, it's unfortunate, but we can all predict what's going to happen. Got a lot of flow in the display. Again, poor swimmers, so you know, and possibly you know, the variable of me just dropping them in the salt water, but it ended up being live food for the invertebrates, the crabs and the snails inside of my tank. You know, at the end of the day, the adding mollies to the tank sounded like a really good idea. You know, increase the bio load, put the mollies in the sump that can take care of any algae that comes out of the Rain 2 scrubber. You know, they could have been a potential positive for my system. Unfortunately, once again, I had to learn the hard way, and sometimes it's just how lessons go. So, you know, again, for those that don't know, you can introduce mollies into salt water. Go over to Reef Girl's channel. She has some saltwater mollies, and I'm pretty sure she's been breeding them with success. So it's just a very interesting tidbit to the freshwater, saltwater ecosystem. But I will say that no more mollies will be introduced to my system, because, you know, I'm not about to sacrifice equipment because the poor swimming fish cannot get out of the way, and I don't want them to get sucked in and, you know, and suffer and all that good stuff. So that is not the path that I'm going to be going down. I do need to order some more fish since I lost the 2 fish from Live Aquaria. I did ask them to just refund the card that I used, and I'll let the tank settle for about a month or so, and then I'll really consider adding a couple more fish. For the time being, I'm just going to leave it alone. But I am curious, are you running mollies in your saltwater tank or sump or at all? Let me know in the comment section below, because apparently it's a 50-50 split on people knowing about it, and some people simply just not knowing that you can do that with mollies. For reference, this is what the sump looks like without the skimmer in it. So you do get quite a bit of real estate back. The only thing I've pulled out of the sump, obviously, is the skimmer. And it's really nice having that extra room, but ultimately the skimmer is going to go back into the sump. So for the last couple of days, the Rain 2, like I said, has been the primary filtration, along with, of course, the rockets in the tank. We've got the rock in the sump there, and then a ton of pond matrix in this particular system. So I did test phosphates a couple days ago, and they actually came back 0. So it's phosphates have been an up and down battle for me. Typically, to remedy phosphates, what I'll do is I will feed a frozen cube with some reefroids. I just sprinkle the reefroids on top of the frozen cube and drop it in the tank, and that usually elevates phosphates to, you know, a reasonable test result, I should say. So, you know, the pH has been pretty stable, just because I do pull air from outside of the stand, but I'm not pulling outside air. So for the most part, pH has still been stable. Tracking pH with the Neptune AFS. So other than that, I mean, the Rain 2 has been wonderful. I pretty much crashed the screen a couple weeks ago, but I've since turned that back around, and we're doing quite all right. So let me adjust the tripod real quick. Let's take a look at the display. First things first, we're running Kessils only. I have not adjusted any of the lighting. The T5s will come on here shortly, but everything is doing pretty well in the tank. I've all but lost this bird's nest, which has had its ups and downs. So, you know, I have a couple white pieces in here. I got another white piece there. I got another white piece right there, and then these 2 pieces in the back that I've discussed in previous videos. And you know, it just comes with the territory. My alkalinity stays pretty stable at about 8.3. Haven't checked calcium or magnesium for a while, so it's probably something that I do need to take care of and test, just to see what the heck is going on. But Of course, all of the soft corals are doing well. This bird's nest right here is doing pretty good. And then all of these corals in this general area are doing pretty well as in this general area also. I was hoping that the new tang would come out. There we go. We got him in the right there. He's just really hard to see because of the coloring. But he's been an excellent fish so far, and I've not noticed any issues. He was shy there for a couple days, and he's coming out now and eating. I do have the Neptune AFS on my mounted to my aquatic life fixture. It does feed twice a day, and I feed a cube, a full frozen cube, once a day as well. So the tank does get heavily fed, in my opinion anyway. I mean, I have two clowns, I got the Coral Beauty, I got the Melanurus Wrasse, got the Midas Blenny, I got the tank. So what is that, 2, 4, 5, 6 fish in here? And I do plan to add more fish, as I mentioned previously in the video. Threw some pellets into the tank, so you can see the fish scurrying around, and the shrimp are trying to claim their food. So that's pretty much that for this update. The thing to take away from this is if you want to introduce mollies into your tank, then it can definitely work. Just be mindful that they are poor swimmers, and they did not work out for me. So I have a couple different options I'm going to experiment with, and ultimately that's all that this is. I want to keep everything stable, but experiment a little bit from time to time. So with that being said, I do appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes, or you can teach me something, because this absolutely was a failed experiment, but we'll just stay tuned to see what happens on the next one. So do appreciate you stopping by. Hope you have a great week, and I'll catch you on the next one.